just make my life so much easier.
It's a big issue.
In the studio, we have a range of exciting guests from Trackunit, the industry, and partners of Trackunit. And I'm super excited to dive in. Welcome and thank you for tuning in here to the show where we are exploring how AI is shaping construction. I'm Lærke Ullerup. I'm Trackunit's Chief Product and Marketing Officer, and I will be hosting the discussions in the studio today. And as a guest, we have Claus Bek Nielsen, who is the CEO and founding partner of Halfspace, and very excited to meet with you here today. Trackunit and Halfspace has a partnership, and we're exploring AI and developing a lot of super cool things together. So I'm really excited to be here with you today. And we're diving into the theme around how AI is propelling organizations forward.
Well, thank you for having me, Lærke. It's a pleasure being here. I think it's happening at a pace that is currently unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this in the 10 years I've been in the industry. It's really about being better at sort of much more advanced forecasting than organizations has done before. It's about being able at delivering better customer service. It's about enabling the customers to actually make more informed decisions on their own. If you're bringing platforms to life like Trackunit, for instance. And so it touches on many functions and areas in organizations. You have finance functions that are really reporting in a new way. You have marketing functions that are using all of these AI tools that enables them to create content much faster.
And what are the prerequisites to getting started? I mean, how would you know if the use case or the company is really able to kind of drive a successful AI application?
Yeah, I think there are several levels of things that need to be ready in the organization. One is the leadership. The leadership needs to set a vision and they need to dare to take these sort of bets on AI. They need to, educate the workforce, be able to communicate very clearly on what it is that AI can do and cannot do. Because whereas we see a lot of opportunities with AI, obviously there are also a lot of things one has to be aware of. So I think communication and transparency, and then an organizational leadership that really spearhead or sort of take the lead on the AI agenda and say, this is what we want to achieve with AI. It's not going to replace anyone, and it's not going to sort of take your job. It's really about enabling us to become even better at what we do.
And if there was a playbook or a recipe for getting started to those companies or people who might watch this show and think, okay, I'm actually really curious here, but we've maybe not started fully yet. What are some of the steps that you want to take as a company in getting started?
I think what we're seeing is that there are a lot of different AI initiatives in organizations. They start small, they pop up here and there. And I think you need to really assess what it is that your organization can win. Where are the big wins we can gain and the big opportunities with AI in our organization? And then create sort of a plan and a roadmap and double down on 1, 2, or maybe 3 use cases that are high stakes with high potential. And then sort of start from there. Otherwise, I think you tend to lose sort of the focus, and you just do small projects and initiatives that often, or at least to what I see, tend to fail.
Let's try and double click on the projects that are really successful, but also where this becomes difficult or challenging. Could you try and unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, I think I could give you an example, for instance, in the transportation industry, just to try and make it a bit more visual. We work with the leadership of an organization that were very visionary on using AI, but obviously given their sort of responsibilities, they didn't study AI. So we had to sort of help them understand what AI was capable of doing for that organization. We have to tailor a roadmap for them. And we had to help them create a group of ambassadors within the organization. And then on the other side, it's really a lot about having very early on in these processes, employees onboarded into what it is that the organization are doing with AI.
And trying to kind of look at the journey that brought us to where we are over the last 10 years. So you shared with us that you've been in this industry for more than a decade now. How have you seen the development over the last 10 years in this field of AI?
When we sort of started out on this, there were not a single organization that wanted to discuss AI with us. And, we'd seen how it worked in the sports industry where we came from. And I think, it was all about digital transformation. And so there was not a pull at all from the industry. Whereas in the beginning of 2023, when we had the ChatGPT, it sort of just changed. And there was a paradigm shift, I'd say. So now we are really experiencing a big pull from the industry and both public and private organizations. And then the challenge there is that you have a supply-demand imbalance of talent. You have a scarcity of talent to actually execute on these big ambitions that organizations are now setting out to do.
So where are we right now in terms of the development of AI?
Well, I'll try to visualize it like this. Imagine you're standing on this train station and you're seeing the train come by, and you have a chance to jump on that train, or you can just stand there and see it pass by. And I really see now it's moving so fast that you need to get on that train. It is really important, both as a leader, as like a person that with just a small interest in this field, try and understand what it is that it can do for you. Because in everyday life, as well as in big organizations, it can actually enable you and help you do things smarter.
And in every technological shift there's been out there, there's always the pioneers or the first movers, and then there are laggards who might wait for the next train. But what characterizes, in your opinion, those pioneers, those first movers? What is it that they do differently?
They think a bit bigger, and they dare to take the chances that it often you need to do when you're a pioneer, right? And it really about like envisioning what you can achieve through, for instance, AI, and then take that bet on that early on, because that's what really gives you a competitive advantage at the end of the day. And those that dare to take these bets and jump on this sort of AI cruise, they have to obviously invest in that, but they also are the one that sort of set the direction. They are the ones that are the shapers of that market.
So one of the topics that I've come across a couple of times is around responsible AI, and in the context of human beings and looking after the planet, their society, but also people. What does responsible AI mean?
Well, it's about how you design the system, and it's about what the intended use of the systems is, and how you then use them in practice. What are they used for? And I think all of these considerations are fundamental, and they are important to everything we do when we develop AI. And then, the other part of that coin is you have everything around the explainability of what it is that your models are doing, the AI models that you are developing. Why are they coming to that conclusion as they are? Can that be explained in an easy, interpretable way? And both for the people that are using the AI systems so that they gain trust into the systems, but also so that we understand that how the reasoning is made, and what it is made of, really is supported in the ambition that we are responsible when working with AI.
Because what if we just take everything, for valid input? What are the risks or the downsides or the limitations here, since we need to pay attention to something like explainability?
I think the risks are that we can tend to just have full trust in systems that might not be trustworthy. I think that can be a real issue here. We are already seeing it a little bit with the off-the-shelf ChatGPT functions, Gemini and everything, how they are reasoning might not be very sane. And I think we as people need to understand why are they reasoning like they're doing, and also have a critical eye to sort of the way they reason and answer your questions, basically.
So some people even talk about hallucinations. Like, what does that mean in this context?
Well, it means that if you think of generative AI, in the word of generative, it is that it generates some things based on the knowledge of that system and all the training material. But it also means that it's very creative in its generation of content. So it will often tend to hallucinate and come up with a lot of funny suggestions to your question, or wrongful answers to your questions, if you do not make sure you guardrail the system in some ways. And that's where it comes into play, that when you work with AI systems and these big LLMs, you really need to put up frameworks and guardrails around them so that you're sure that they answer you in the correct way and that they are not hallucinating.
And I would also assume when you're a business and you're then starting to work with topics that are critical and important and where mistakes can maybe be really expensive or impose risk on other people, this becomes even more important. So how do we work with these frameworks, or how can we, avoid the hallucinations going on there?
This is really about having a good and deep understanding of how to build these guardrails around it. And it's about having people that understands these LLM models, how are they operating, how are they sort of reasoning, but also understanding how to then protect your systems from being inflated with hallucinations, I would say. Then it's about having organization, people that are educated within the organization when they use these tools, that can sanity check the outcome of it, that really are experts in their domains, and that they can question, is it actually correct what I'm seeing here and that I'm receiving? And then, challenge that as well, and then make the system better based on that.
Great. Hey, I'm happy to hear humans are still relevant. So thank you so much, Claus, for joining us and sharing your considerations on this topic. And thank you out there for watching the show. We'll be back with more episodes soon.